So welcome to this presentation on creating audio descriptions with Clipchamp. My name is Dan Reichstein. I am the Media Technology Support Specialist through the CTL. In this workshop, we're going to be talking about audio descriptions. Now, audio descriptions are for people who are blind or visually impaired if the visual content is essential to understanding the information being conveyed. Because when this had come up for Title II requirements, there was talk about closed captioning, which we cover in another workshop. And that's about the words showing up on the screen for audio for those who don't have the ability to hear the video. And in this situation, if you present a video that has heavy visuals with no description of what's going on, that piece of media is also out of compliance. So the first thing I would like to talk about is when audio description is likely required. So the video conveys important information visually. It could be a training video, an emergency procedure, an educational material. The visual elements are not fully explained through dialogue or audio. The video is used as part of public services, education, employment training, or government communication. So an example would be a fire evacuation training video that shows exit routes but doesn't explain them in the audio would need an audio description to be accessible under Title II. So with that in mind, when would an audio description not be required? It may not be required under some of these recommendations. If the visual information is already described in the audio, as for an example, it's a speaker verbally explaining what's on screen. If the video is non-essential or purely entertainment in a casual or voluntary context and not part of a public program or service, that may not be part of ours because there are times where there are events, but based on that, we would still need to have an alternative available. If a reasonable alternative format is provided that ensures equal access, a one-on-one explanation or detailed transcription in some cases. So that's going to be something we talk about here because while I've come up with a process for creating an audio description, the reality is there may be videos out there that it isn't possible to add the audio description to. So it may be the alternative may be to create a document that is next to the piece of media that is accessible to the students or to the general community. So this all has to do with video tools that are video hosting websites. So after you create a video file with an editing program, where will it be shown? Because that tends to create the whole structure of how we build out things, because the destinations for your video include YouTube, Canvas Studio Library, or your Google Share Drive. Because a lot of the time in these situations, you're using these places and that's where the media lives so that your audience is able to access it. It's not staying on a drive somewhere. It is basically on a service. So with that, I want to show you an example of how we were able to create an audio description using a program called Clipchamp. Okay. So I'm going to bring up Clipchamp. So Clipchamp is a video editing software that is available through Microsoft. How I am able to access it is that I actually had to create an alternative email to create a free Microsoft account that lets me into this program. So I cannot use the Maricopa or the Estrella email for the Microsoft program. So I do have to create an alternative email to sign in to Clipchamp. But once I do, what I'm able to do is I'm going to bring in a video asset into here to add audio descriptions. Now I'm going to show you an example of it from my folder. I made a video that has no audio description. So that would be this one. And you'll quickly see the problem is. So I'm going to stop the video because I just played enough of an example. But the issue was from the beginning, it doesn't read the title slide. It's not telling me what's going on. It just has music. So I have no idea what the action is. So this video, while beautiful, is out of compliance. So what we did to correct that is we added AI voices from Clipchamp. So I'm going to play that example, and then I'm going to show you how we can make it with Clipchamp. So I'm going to go into the one where I made the example.
Catching a Wave, an aquatic adventure by Dan Reichstein. A surfer standing with their board at the beach with the sun glaring in the distance. Multiple surfers catching waves in the ocean. One surfer succeeds in riding the wave to the shore.
So I'm going to stop it there because I just want to give you a little bit of an example. But the idea is that this video is much more in compliance because you are now providing description instead of just leaving it alone. How was I able to do this? So what I did was I go into Clipchamp. I'm going to create a new video. So in this instance, I actually have the MP4 files because I created it through a software. So I'm just scrolling down to the bottom. I'm creating a new video. And I'm allowing it to create the folder. I'm probably just going to skip over to the sample video if it takes too long to load. But right now, it looks like it loaded. So what I'm able to do is I go into import media. And I'm going to seek out from my desktop the surfing video. Because I know it says surfing video audio description needed. I'm going to open it up. I'm allowing it to load into Clipchamp. Then what I do is that I add it to the timeline to just bring the whole video in. The idea is that if you were working on this, you're just trying to add it to an already edited video. You're not doing more edits. This would be a completed video. So the idea is that I want to add in the audio description. So I park my cursor on the first section I want to add audio. So I know it's this section. I want it to say Catching a Wave, an Aquatic Adventure by Dan Reichstein. So what I do is I go over to Record and Create, and I select Text to Speech. That opens a window on the right side that's giving me a lot of different options. I've chosen the language I want the video to be spoken in. I have a selection of voices. There are many different voices you can choose from. I'm just going to choose one at random. I'm going to press Hear this video.
Choose from a variety of voices to help you create a story worth sharing.
So that sounds nice. There are also advanced features that let me play with the vocal depth and pitch. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to the quality of the voice because it's still treating it like production. It's a lot better than it being, say, a very robotic voices you're used to hearing. They're starting to incorporate a lot more AI voices that sound a lot more natural. Granted, we will run into a lot of challenges because I know I have to phonetically trick it into speaking Spanish words appropriately, because sometimes in English it will say it in English a Spanish word, and quite honestly, it doesn't sound right. So in this situation, I want to create my first audio description file, or excuse me, my first clip is what I'll call it. So I go down to text and I write catching a wave, an aquatic adventure by Dan Reichstein. So the first thing I will do is I will preview it.
Catching a Wave, an Aquatic Adventure by Dan Reichstein.
So there's a couple of options too. Just be aware that you do have the option to create audio where you can add a pause at the beginning and at the end, because sometimes the audio file can be very short. So that is a feature built within it. I can also make it say it slower, a little bit slower. Let's try what that sounds like.
Catching a Wave, an Aquatic Adventure by Dan Reichstein.
I think that's acceptable. So I click save. And now it is created on where I want it to play back. So I'm going to test it.
Catching a Wave, an Aquatic Adventure by Dan Reichstein.
So what I'll have to do is I will have to lower the main volume of the video track to accommodate the audio. So I lowered it to about 67%, and let's hear it again.
Catching a Wave, an Aquatic Adventure by Dan Reichstein.
So I'll lower it a tiny bit more just because that drum kind of, but I think that's going to be fine. So I continue on to the next clip. I can see it's the surfer. I go over to record, text to speech, and it's going to save the voice.
Choose from a variety of.
And I'm just making sure in advance, put that down to here, because I want to make sure that I'm at the right pitch. And then this one, a surfer stands with his board facing the shore. Excuse me, facing the ocean. Let's be more accurate. A surfer stands with his board facing the ocean. The sun is gleaming in the distance. So that's enough to understand what's going on in that scene. You don't have to write a whole book, but enough to give it context. Let's preview.
A surfer stands with his board facing the ocean. The sun is gleaming in the distance.
Let's save that. So now we have the two.
Catching a Wave, an Aquatic Adventure by Dan Reichstein.
I want to sync that a little bit better, so I'm going to have that one show up a little bit earlier. That's just an editing.
Catching a Wave, an Aquatic Adventure by Dan Reichstein.
Yeah, I'm going to probably put this one a little bit closer. So I'm not editing as smoothly as I normally would because I'm trying to have people be able to keep up. But mostly I would want these to all match, kind of similar to the closed captions. I want it to match the action when it happens.
A surfer stands with his board facing the ocean. The sun is gleaming in the distance.
So I might have to have that happen a little earlier because of the words.
With his board facing the ocean. The sun is gleaming in the distance.
So I might have to go into this one and fix the pace for that a little bit. Let's try that. And maybe that'll speed it up a little bit.
Reichstein. The surfer stands with his board facing the ocean. The sun is gleaming in the distance.
And then we go in the next one. Because you could say one of the downsides of this is sometimes the pacing. If things are cut too quick, it could be kind of difficult to add audio descriptions. You may even just say intercut of shots of people walking down the street. There's going to be, because it could be 5 shots in succession, but it's the same thing. That might be the description. Because in a way, if it's the way most movies are cut, where it's by frame, it's not going to be able to speak. So you might have to more in general describe what's going on, not necessarily describing everything about the scene, enough to give it context. See, same thing here. I play it through. I see it's a surfer. I see it's a surfer catching a wave, and he's moving down to the shore. Okay. So I'm going to park it right about where it starts. Go to create and record and create. We're going to go to text to speech. Keep the same voice. Surfer catches a wave and successfully rides it to the shore. Preview.
A surfer catches a wave and successfully rides it to the shore.
Okay, we're going to click save. So I'm going to test it again.
Gleaming in the distance. A surfer catches a wave and successfully rides it to the shore.
So I don't have a reason to describe anything else. It's just a drawn out scene. And now I go to the next scene. And now it's going to be different surfers. So I got to describe what they're doing. Multiple surfers. Swim in the ocean, hoping to catch a wave. As I said, you may have to more critically watch to have a more
Multiple
accurate.
surfers swim in the ocean hoping to catch a wave.
So it's about having it be as accurate as possible. So we'll keep playing.
Multiple surfers swim in the ocean hoping to catch a wave.
And I'll keep going down the timeline to the next scene. Now I might describe this as the camera rises up to reveal more surfers. So I go into text to speech. No, to reveal more surfers in the ocean. Let's save that. Let's see.
The camera rises up to reveal more surfers in the ocean.
That's good. That's good. So I'm going to keep on going. Go on to the next one. So now we have a different scene. Now I have to describe what's going on here. So I'm going to go into record and create text to speech. A shark swims past a school of fish. I'm going to save that one. Preview play.
A shark swims past a school of fish.
Okay. And then I'm looking for the next scene. We're going to look for the next scene. This is a different scene. So now I have to identify what's going on next. Record and create. Text to speech. A stingray swims placidly through the water. Let's save that. Let's check it out.
A stingray swims placidly through the water.
Now, a new scene. So this. We know that the shark is going to swim past the stingray. So we need the audio to accompany that. Go to record and create. Text to speech. The shark swims past the stingray. Save. Gonna preview. Run it back just to make sure.
The shark swims past the stingray.
Yeah, other sharks appear. So let's have that say record and create. Other sharks appear from the murky depths. Save. And this starts becoming context. We want context of what's going on. Let's preview.
Other sharks appear from the murky depths.
And now we're going to have not much going on here. It's just a shot of the waves. So a bird's eye view. So I'm going to go into record and create text to speech. A bird's eye view of the waves in the ocean, of the waves forming in the ocean. Forming in the ocean. Let's save that. Okay.
A bird's eye view of the waves forming in the ocean.
And now I'm playing it through just to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that's all there is to it. It fades to black. Okay. So now we have completed making the video. You have two options. You can export this video and either make it a video file that has this audio track connected to it, or you can go to more options and select audio only, which is going to give us a M4A audio file. So I'm going to click export. Now, the one mistake I made is that I did not name this project. So I want to go back to editing and make a correction. So when I was working on this, I just called it video project, but I don't want to call it that. I'm going to rename it. This is going to be surfing video audio description. Because that's, for now, this is what I'm going to name it. You would name it whatever video you'd like. It's whatever the name of the video is for consistency. We're stressing audio description in this particular workshop just because we want to focus on that aspect. So I can go back and export again. So now I don't really want to share anything. I'm really just trying to get the video file. So I'm going to go into export. Now I'm just going to take the 1080p version, which is a high quality version. I'm going to hit export. So what you're going to see is a load bar, which is telling you how long it'll take for the video to be created in Clipchamp. Please bear in mind, I'm using a very short video for this example, but longer videos do take more processing time. I do give a recommendation to not do videos that are over 15 minutes long. I feel I've had more logistical problems with Clipchamp trying to take on longer form videos. But videos under 15 minutes, it tends to be able to handle fine. So there may be situations where if audio descriptions are required for longer form projects, that may involve the CTL working on it as a project to get a piece of media into compliance. But this was meant to be a means by having an asset now that was out of compliance that you want to use. Now, this piece of media is in compliance because when I play it.
Catching a Wave, an aquatic adventure by Dan Reichstein. A surfer stands with his board facing the ocean. The sun is gleaming in the distance.
So I could keep playing through as an example, but the understanding now is that this is now in compliance because you have provided a way for not only people visually to see what's going on, but also audio provides the critical information. The reason why I downloaded an audio file, I want to show you an example of that. So let's go back to here. I want to export the audio only. I'm allowing it. Audio will load much faster than video. So now that I have done that, I want to make you aware of a feature that is in YouTube. I believe it is under service accounts, not necessarily under individual accounts, because I have looked at it in my individual account and I don't have this feature. But specifically on the CTL YouTube channel, I will provide you an idea of what happens when I add the audio description track. So I'm actually going to go down to a video that I did do this for, which was the student experience online learning. So very similarly, there's a situation where I need things that are being shown on screen read aloud because I realize that that's out of compliance. They're not going to see the questions being asked. So in order to get that back in compliance, I use the AI voices in Clipchamp to create an audio track that they can toggle on in YouTube. So where that was located was under languages. And when I went to hit the pencil icon, a feature that was available to me was called descriptive audio. And I have uploaded it. It only gives me the option to delete it. But the idea is that I am creating an audio track that has the descriptions in it, but also maintains the original audio of the video. Because in this situation, it is interviews. When I was first attempting to do this, I was under the impression that I just put in audio descriptions and turn off the original track. But when I did that, it would have the audio description and then no audio of the interviewees. So that doesn't work. So when we are doing this workflow, we do want to maintain, say the music was there. We wanted to maintain that because what ends up happening is you would still have the people being interviewed, you're still going to have dialogue. But the idea is that if these were a lot more visual heavy and you did not include what's called integrated audio descriptions, if you are not actively describing things and just holding up items and not saying what they are, that is why that media could be considered out of compliance. So by doing this little background engineering, where you saw me get the video file, which I could just upload that video file and just go, the piece of asset I'm going to have available is going to have an integrated audio description like I just created, and I'm not going to worry about having the alternate track. Or in this instance, I have that track. It's just alternative that they can turn it on. So what it looks like in YouTube, I'm going to go into the video. Now, what you notice from this one, it's not reading the questions. So that's why it could be out of compliance, because it's just text with no. If this was the only asset we were making available, there wasn't a document available next to it, this would be considered out of compliance because if you are not able to see, you aren't getting the same information. So what we did now is that you click this gear icon, you go to audio track, and you select English descriptive instead of English original. So now when we go to play it, it will sound like this.
Estrella Mountain Community College, a Maricopa Community College, student experience, online learning. Why did you choose to take online classes?
For me personally, online classes just seem to work better with my schedule.
I'm going to stop it right there, but you're kind of going to understand why that made such a huge difference. Now from both visual, which is going to be the closed caption file on the original, you'll see closed captions are available for visual, and audio description is available for that need. So that way we have covered in compliance those two main requests for media. The only other one I haven't mentioned is alternative text is for images. So if any documents have a lot of images on them, you'll notice if you go into Grackle or Panorama, it'll ask you for anything that is images to provide an alternate description or to say something is decorative. That's the difference in the media needs for Title II. But this is how we have engineered a way to have the audio descriptions we created with Clipchamp be integrated into YouTube, potentially Canvas as well. Like I said, we have the options of having the entire piece of media be integrated audio description or have it have the alternate track of audio description. Please be aware that if there's a piece of media that this cannot be done for, say a video you found on the web, it is still the responsibility of the person posting to provide the alternative, which is going to be a written transcript document that will describe what's going on and the dialogue attached next to the video link that the audience is able to access. And that is how you would provide compliance. Because this is something where we got a lot of questions about what the goal is here. And the idea is that equal access to materials. So if you have a video, but you're able to provide that information also in a document, that is what makes it equal access for all parties. That is the ultimate goal at the end of this. And it's something where we found a way to kind of engineer this with AI, which was kind of cool, because the alternative would have been literally to go in with a microphone and record my audio descriptions. There are times where that's possible, and then there are other times where that's very difficult to do. So that's why I'm making use of the AI voices in Clipchamp. And with that, I'm just checking my time. We are at 10:38. So as I've highlighted in here, you can do audio only description. That's how I can do the track inside of YouTube. I believe it's under service account. I have not seen it under my personal account. When I go into YouTube, and it's my Maricopa email account, when I go into the studio, I've uploaded some video samples, and under content, I believe it's under subtitles. So I create a video, and then when I do I don't have the pencil icon the same way that I do under my service account. So it is different. So let's return to the presentation. I'd like to go, I also have a video that I can send the link to on integrated audio descriptions. This was created by a group in, I don't remember the university that created it. One moment, please.
Hi, I'm Crystal at Microsoft.
So it was made by the Microsoft Enable group, excuse me. So this short 1.5-minute video does explain essentially what is required for an integrated audio description. So if I may, I'm just going to play it. It's only about 1 minute long. So let's make this on the screen, make sure that you can see it.
Hi, I'm Crystal at Microsoft. I want to tell you about integrated audio description, what it is, and how to use it. First, let's talk about the difference between standard audio description and integrated audio description. Standard audio description is a secondary narration track intended for users who are blind or low vision. Here's an example.
A bright office. A woman sits at a desk typing.
Laura is passionate about acting. She's even a repeat lead in her community theater group.
Stage curtains are drawn, framing her. The desk becomes a lighted vanity.
With integrated audio description, things happening on the screen are described in the dialogue, so there's no need for a separate narration track. You might ask yourself, how should integrated audio description be written? Let's take a look. First, give context to sounds. Here's an example.
Oh, a delivery. I wonder what's in this cardboard box. I'm reaching out to grab it.
We hear the sound of a doorbell, and then we are immediately given context that a delivery has arrived. Second, show and tell. The video showed a cardboard box and the speaker reaching for it. Additionally, the narrator told us what was happening. Third, don't over-describe.
I'm floating away now. There was a bundle of colorful helium balloons in that delivery box.
Notice how the speaker didn't spend time listing every color in the bundle. Just saying a bundle of colorful helium balloons was sufficient. We hope this video helps you better understand integrated audio description. Now you know some best practices for writing it. Thanks for watching.
And I felt that was a very helpful explanation because a lot of the time, especially in what I wrote, I wasn't over descriptive. It was critical of the information that our users need for their process. So before we wrap it up, I just want to go back to, that's fine. I just want to make sure I'm still sharing correctly. Thank you. So the idea behind this is that we have audio description for ADA compliance. So we have the YouTube audio description. That's the M4A audio track that we got from Clipchamp. And we attach in YouTube in the administrative side to be able to have that option be selectable from YouTube. In Canvas Studio, the best option is to create either an integrated audio description or attach a transcript document with descriptions that's equally accessible to your audience. And the same would go for Google Drive. You would either make the piece of media integrated audio description or attach a document that has descriptions on what is being shown as well as the dialogue in that document. And with that, I do open up the floor to questions. Thank you so much for attending this workshop. I hope that this is a useful tool to you. If you do have additional questions beyond this training, feel free to send a message to ctl@estrellamountain.edu with the subject line video request your name so I know that you're talking to me, and we can follow up on next steps, best solutions to help you with your AV needs.